Hello. Hello, friends. Today we will be discussing on population composition in India. Lesson number 7. Population is used to refer as the total number of persons residing in a given area at a point of time. Already we have discussed about this in the previous classes. The population is constantly influenced by demographical processes which are linked with fertility, mortality as well as migration. On the other hand, they influence mainly because of economical, cultural, as well as political aspects. So we have discussed that the population is influenced based on the biological factors as well as migration, as well as based on social, economical, cultural, as well as political aspects. So let us discuss the size of population based on some demographical factors. Age and sex structure. The age and sex structure of a population is usually represented by a population pyramid, which is a special type of bar graph. Population pyramids provide graphic statements of the sex and age distribution of a population of a given year. The pyramid is of two ways: histogram with x and y axis. It also consists of a number of bars representing successive age groups in ascending order from the lowest age at the bottom to the highest age at the top. The age structure of a male population is indicated on the left side of the central axis and female population on the right of the central axis. The length of the bar of any age group represents the number or the percentage of males or females in that specific age group. A population pyramid can show the history of a population over the last 100 years, including effects of fluctuation in terms of fertility as well as mortality. Several types of population pyramids can be distinguished like primitive, expensive, constructive, near stationary, and transitional, my dear friends. In India, the age pyramid is broad based due to high birth rate. The shape of the pyramid is conical or triangular, my dear friends. If you see in your book, page number 73, my dear friends, they have given the age sex composition of population in India as per Census 2011 reports, my dear friends. The age graph, for example, if you see people who are in the age group of 0 to 4 years, the male percentage is 52, whereas the female population percentage is 48%. So the male population is huge in terms of 0.0 to 4 years. And if we see in the age group of 5 to 9 years, my dear friends, the male population constitute 52.2%, whereas female population constitute 47.8. You must have seen that the female population is slightly coming down by 0.2%. It may be because of female infanticide or any death rate or so and so, my dear friends. And if we see in the age group of 10 to 14 years, the male population is around 52.3% against 47.7 female population. In the age group of 15 to 19 years, male population is 53.1 and female is 46.9. And as the age goes on increasing, my dear friends, you can see that change there is a change in terms of population. If you see in the age group of 50 to 54, the male population is 52.7, whereas female population is 47.3. Whereas in the age group of 55 to 59, the male population is 49.7, whereas female population is 50.3. And if we see in the age group of 75 to 79, the male population is 48.6, whereas the female population is 51.4. That means if we see the lifespan of the male is little bit less than the female when the age goes on increasing, my dear friends. Now let us see the sex ratio. Sex is a biological characteristic. We need to have clarity between sex and gender. Sex is a biological feature. Like based on the biological features, we are going to differentiate between a boy and a girl. Whereas when we come to the gender aspect, we are trained in the form of socialization process, like what a boy is supposed to do, what is expected from a boy, and what is expected from a girl, what must be their behavior, what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to interact with the people. All this becomes a gender perspective. So sex is a biological characteristic, and it is ascribed by birth itself based on our biological features. The society has labeled us as a boy or a girl based on our biological features. The sex composition is one of the basic characteristics that has direct impact on mortality as well as fertility, my dear friends. The relation in a population between the number of males and the number of females can be measured um, with two aspects. The first one is the percentage of males in the total population, whereas the other one is the sex ratio. One is the percentage of males in the total population, whereas the other way is the sex ratio, the number of people, like uh, sex ratio, like how many males and how many females are there. For every 1,000 males, what is the percentage of females that we are going to measure it? That we call it as sex ratio. Sex ratio is mostly or widely used, and it is stated as one of the principal measure of sexual composition or sex composition. It is usually defined as the number of males per every 1,000 females. It is obtained by dividing the total number of males by the total number of females and multiplying it by 100. Sex ratio is equal to PM, population of male, divided by PF, population of female, into 100, my dear friends. By this way, by using this, we are going to get the sex ratio, my dear friends. If we see in page number 74, table 7.2, they have mentioned the sex ratio against different selected countries as well as region. If we see in across the world, my dear friends, or for every 1,000 female, we have 1,017 males. Whereas coming to Asia, my dear friends, for every 1,000 female, we have 1,047 males. Like coming to India, for every thousand, we are going to have 943. The sex ratio which is there in India is 943. It is lowest among some of the countries, and Egypt has the lowest one with 939 sex ratio, my dear friends. And if we see in terms of Indian sex ratio, in the year 1901, the sex ratio was 972. By the year when we come to 2011 census, the sex ratio has further depleted to 943, my dear friends. And if there is a huge gap between male and female, then we are going to have certain issues, like each and every boy may not have a girl to go for marriage. That means it may lead to certain issues like prostitution, rapes, and so on, my dear friends. So it is the duty of the government to ensure that we are going to have the better sex ratio so that we can address some of the issues, my dear friends. Then if we see within the country, as per 2011 census, in Kerala, we have the highest sex ratio of 1,084, followed by Tamil Nadu with 996. Then in Andhra Pradesh, we have 993. And in Telangana, we have 988, my dear friends. And if we see in the country, we have the least in terms of Haryana with 879 sex ratio. And the average of sex ratio in India is 943, my dear friends. In Telangana, the sex ratio is 988 females per every 1,000 male as per Census 2011 reports. The determinants of sex ratio can be listed in 6 ways. First one, more male than female births, prevalence of female infanticide, because if we see in some parts of the country, giving birth to a girl child, taking care of her, protecting her modesty, getting her married, taking care of all these things was treated as a costly affair. So, for that reason, in order to get rid of all this burden, Some of the poor people used to simply kill their child, girl child. That situation used to happen in Telangana as well as in some parts of the country, my dear friends. It took place. That also has led to the differences in terms of sex ratio. Then next one is neglect of female children. Then malnutrition and hard work results in mortality of girls and women. If we see in Africa, my dear friends, most of the children they die before they attain 5 years of age just because of malnutrition or undernutrition. At the same time, because girls were forced to have worked rigorously, it may also lead to health issues as well as mortality, my dear friends. Then the next one is we have internal as well as international migrations where the male dominated affect the sex ratio in the area of origin as well as in the area of destination. And the last one is mortality. Higher mortality rate is found among males than females at every age. Except wars, even in terms of war also most of the male takes work as a soldier. That's the reason we find more casualties among male. That is also affects the male and female sex ratio, my dear friends. Now let us discuss about the child sex ratio. The overall sex ratio presents encouraging trends across the country, but it is not the same in the case of girl child in the age group of 0 to 6 years. If we see in page number 77, if we see in page number 77, table 7.5 shows the child sex ratio in major states in India as per 2011 census. If we see Kerala, in Kerala we have 964, whereas coming to Andhra Pradesh, we have 939. And coming to Punjab, it is 846. And Haryana, with the least child sex ratio of 834, my dear friends. We see that some states are having good compared with the states like Punjab and Haryana. Now, let us see the religious composition. If we see, India is the hub of, or we can call it as the capital of all religions. All the major religions across the globe, we find it in India. India is having multiple regions. Majority of the population in India is made of several religious groups. Hindus form a majority in India and other religions are represented as minorities. India, by its secular nature, does not have a state religion in spite of having the Hindu as a majority population. After the Hindus, we have the Muslims as the second largest group in India. Now, let us see the variations in terms of population in India based on religion. If we see in the year 1951, the Hindu population was 84.98, whereas it has been slowly decreasing as the ages have been passed on. By the year 2001, it has come down to 80.5%, and according to 2011 census, my dear friends, the Hindu population has been decreased to 79.80%. Coming to Muslim population, my dear friends, in the year 1951, it was less than 10%. It was 9.9% of the total Indian population. By the year 2001, it has been increased to 13.4%, further increased to 14.23% by the year 2011 census. As if we see the Christians, my dear friends, in the year 1951, their percentage was only 2.35%. By the year 2001, it has been almost the same with 2.3%, and by 2011, it has been slightly decreased to 2.30%. My dear friends, you see that there is increase of Muslim population, slight decrease of Hindu population, whereas the Christian population is almost the same, my dear friends. Whereas coming to Sikh population, in the year 1951, it was 1.74% of the total population, which has been almost the same by 2011 census. It has been 1.72%. Whereas coming to the Buddhist population, in the year 1951, it was only 0.05%. It has been slightly increased to 0.70% by 2011 census. And if we see the Jain population, it was 0.45% of the total in the year 1951. It has been slightly decreased to 0.37% by the year 2011. Whereas if we see the other religions like Parsis and so on, like their population was 0.52% of the total population in 1951. It has been slightly increased to 0.66% by the year 2011 census. So this about the size of population distribution in India, my dear friends. Religious composition affects the population changes too. The birth rates and the death rates of different religious groups may vary. The different aspects of the religion which may have consequences on the population trends are the way religion views marriage and progeny. According to Islam, and even in the past in terms of Hinduism, people said that we must not use any contraceptions because it's against the will of God. And our duty is to give birth to children. But in the so called modern societies, my dear friends, the perception is being changed among the educated people, among the masses who are there in the urban societies, but even now among the people, traditional societies, the birth rate is very, very higher. So the first one is how the people based on the religion view the marriage as well as progeny, nothing but giving birth to children. The second one is the status of women. When we talk about the status of women, when if the women have the higher status in those societies, the birth rate is slowly less compared to the societies where the women have low status or no status at all. Whereas in some societies, there is a huge demand, or people aspire to have a male child because it is linked with hell and heaven. According to Hindu scriptures, people believe that even though you have done the right deeds, if you want to get relief from the ancestors' sins, then only the male, only the son has the opportunity or has the right to relieve the parents from the hell, my dear friends. And if a person is put to death, if the male child does the cremation activity, then only the doors of heaven will be open for them. So this kind of belief system also force the couples to give birth to more male child, so that even if one dies, there'll be some or the other person to take care of them when they die or when they grow older, my dear friends. So these are the three things which are going to decide the size of the population. One is the way how the people see the marriage and progeny as per the religion and the status of women, and the third one is the value for the sons, my dear friends. According to Muslim, getting married is a duty towards the religion. And according to Prophet Muhammad, their main duty is to increase the followers, increase the followers. So they have advocated higher fertility rate, my dear friends. And along with this, the social, economical, and demographic characters also influence the religious groups as well as determine their fertility levels. Let us see the fertility of the people based on religion. If we see among Hindus, my dear friends, in the year 1992 and 93, according to the National Family Health Survey, one, the fertility rate among Hindus was 3.3. By the year 1998-99, according to NFHS 2, it has been decreased to 2.78, and by the year 2015-16, the fertility rate among Hindus has further decreased to 2.13%. Coming to Muslims, in the year 1992-93, when we have the first National Family Health Survey, it was 4.41 percentage, which has been decreased to 2.62 by the year 2015-16. Coming to Christians, my dear friends, it was 2.87% in the year 1992-93. It has been decreased to 1.99% by the year 2015-16 as per the National Family Health Survey 4. Coming to 6, it was 2.43. It has been decreased to 1.58. And if you see the Buddhist population, as per the National Family Health Survey 1, there was no statistics. In the year 1998-92, according to NFHS 2, we have 1.9% of the as fertility rate. which has slightly increased to 2.25 by 2005 or 6. Later on, it has gradually decreased to 1.74. Coming to Jains and even others, there was no statistics in the year 92-93 as per National Family Health Survey. But according to NFH2, Jain population or the fertility rate was 2.13, slightly decreased to 1.2% by the year 1516, and the other religious fertility rate was 2.33 in the year 1998 to 1993. It has been increased, slightly increased by 2.57% by the year 2015-16. So this shows the fertility of the population based on religion, my dear friends. So the fertility rates and the death rates in terms of religious group differ from one country to the other country. The socio-economical status of a particular religious community significantly affects the birth and death rate. For example, Christians favor small family and also encourage late marriages. The birth rate in Canada, where the majority of the population is Christian, was 15 and the death rate was 7% only. The growth rate was 0.8% in 1983. On the other hand, where Muslims favor large families and also encourage early marriages. For example, if we take the example of a neighboring country, Pakistan, which was divided from the country, the majority, the birth rate was 43 and the death rate was 15 and the growth rate was 2.8%. Thus indicated that in that last 25 years, the population of Pakistan has almost been doubled, my dear friends. So this also differs based on their social, economical conditions, based on their religious beliefs, my dear friends. Now let us discuss about the language composition. Many countries are multilingual. Many countries have different languages and linguistic communities. The language composition of a population is significant for us to understand the cultural background like religious beliefs, marriage, customs, agriculture practices, dietary habits, and so on. These language barriers also may create problems like political, social, economical, and other also, my dear friends. And these are all going to help us in terms of national interests like designing the policies for education, health, planning, and so on. So based on the data, we are going to classify the language composition. The data of language groups is obtained using three categories, my dear friends. One is the mother tongue. The second one is the language currently used or usually spoken at home. And the third one is knowledge of language or languages. You're going to take three things into account in order to classify the language groups. One is the mother tongue. The second one is the language currently or usually spoken at home. And the third one, knowledge of languages or language. According to Demographic Yearbook of 1956, language is perhaps a more sensitive index than birthplace because linguistic differences trend to persist until complete cultural assimilation has taken place. It is going to bring complete assimilation. That means we are going to bring two or more cultures together, which are going to come together. Common ancestral customs may be reflected in the mother tongue of the individuals long after those persons have changed their citizenship perhaps several times. In some countries, language and nationality are not politically and socially important as racial composition like United States of America. However, most of the countries have various linguistic minorities. In Canada, English comprises like 59.1%, with French in the second place at 29%. And if we see in Switzerland, 72.1% of the total population speak German, whereas 20.3% speak French and 5.9% only speak Italian. According to 2011 census, my dear friends, in India, the largest linguistic group is Hindi, my dear friends. According to 2011 census, 43.63% of the total population speak Hindi, followed by 8.03% Bengali, followed by Marathi with 6.86%, and if we see in AP and Telangana and some parts of Maharashtra and some places across the country, the people who speak Telugu constitute only 6.7% as per 2011 census, my dear friends. And Sindhi is the least spoken language in the country with only 0.23%, my dear friends, followed by 0.56 Kashmiri language. And let us go for caste composition. India is a peculiar country, and Indian social structure is based on caste system. And the caste system is one of the traditional bases where we are going to stratify the population. In the census of India from 1881 to 1931, a question was constantly asked. However, in census 1941, the information was not analyzed. That means they have not taken this into account. After India got its independence, information on the caste of person was not recorded. It was though thought that a recon caste would tend to increase the caste consciousness, and it may further lead to further division in the society. For that reason, they did not collect the caste census. However, the census of India continued to record the information belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population. Now let us see the caste composition of the population in India as per 2011 census reports in terms of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. If we see in Andhra Pradesh, we have 16.41% who belong to scheduled caste, whereas only 7% of the total population belong to scheduled tribe. Belong to scheduled tribe. If we see in Punjab, we have the highest scheduled caste people with 31.94% of the total population. And if we see in Punjab, the scheduled tribe population is zero, my dear friends. So we have different uh, uh, percentage in terms of caste, my dear friends. Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, UP, and West Bengal has the largest number of population under SC category, whereas Meghalaya, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland has very less population of scheduled caste, and majority of the population belong to scheduled tribes. Now let us discuss about the population composition in terms of education. Education is one of the important indicator of social development. Education is an important variable which may also affect the demographical behavior as well as the participation of the labor force. If we see education and attainment of female and male is an important indicator for the study of population characteristics. It is measured by percentage distribution of various levels of educational attainment, okay, of the age of 15 and above. Now if we see in page number 82, we have table number 710, which shows the completed level of education of 5 years and above, my dear friends, based on rural as well as urban to the total. If we see, this is according to NSS, National Sample Survey, 71st round 2014. In the year 2014, the number of illiterates in the rural areas constitute 198, whereas in the females constitute 376, my dear friends. Whereas coming to urban area, it was 90 and 190. Whereas coming to total, the male, it is 165 and the female constitute 320, my dear friends. And we're talking about the literacy levels. And if we see without schooling, but who can read and write, in the rural areas, it is 8 per male and 6 per female. And if we see the total, it is 7 per male and 6 per female. And you can see in this table that up to primary school, 377 for male, and female 336. Coming to the total, it is 349 and 319. And if we see in terms of graduation, it has come down to 37 among male, and if we see the female, it is very, very less. That means as the girls are growing up, most of the girls are being dropped out. Most of the girls are being dropped out, and it may be because of they get married, or because of lack of facilities at the school, or because of some other issues back at home, or the belief system of the parents that the female education was coming down, if you see, as per this NSS data. Coming to the literacy, according to United Nations, literacy is the ability of a person to read and write, which helps the person to understand simple statements of his everyday life. The main emphasis of this definition of literacy is nothing but the ability to read and write while understanding. So here, this is measured. Literacy is measured in terms of number of literate persons per every 100 people. So true literacy rate is equal to L by P into 100, where L is the literacy, the number of people who can read, by the total population uh, into 100, my dear friends. L divided by P into 100. So by using this formula, my dear friends, we can calculate the literacy rate. If you see the literacy rate in India, as per 2011 census reports like and the Register General of India, Government of India, in the year 1951, among male, it was 27.2%, whereas it was only 8.9% among female, with a total of 18.3%. And if you see in the year 1961, among male, it was 40.4%, whereas among females, it has been almost double with 15.3%. And if you see the total, my dear friends, it has been increased to 28.3. By the year 2001, the literacy rate in India has been increased to 65.4, with male 76% and female 54.2%. Coming to 2011 census, it has been further increased to 73%, and among male it has been 80.9 literacy percent, whereas female it is 64.6%. So this data shows that the literacy rate in India is increasing like anything. And let us see the state-wise literacy rate in India as per 2011 census reports. If we see in Andhra Pradesh, female literacy rate is 59.1, with male 74.9, with a total of 67% literacy rate. And if we see in India, the number of literates are 778.5 millions. Of this, 493 million literates are in the rural areas, and 285.4 million literates reside in the urban areas. Out of an increase of 217.8 million literates over the decade of 2001 to 11, the rural areas accounted for 131.1 millions, whereas in the urban areas it is 86.6 million population. The highest number of rural literates have been recorded in Uttar Pradesh with 88.4 million, with Maharashtra 40.8 million uh, literates in the urban areas. The quality of population can be judged from the life expectancy, level of literacy, technical training, attainment by the people of a particular country. Hence, the level of literacy has become one of the important indicator of socio-economical development of any country on this planet. So it has been found that higher literacy and higher educational attainment leads to decline in fertility as well as mortality levels. In India, the state with high literacy level in Kerala, Gujarat, Maharashtra and Punjab has been able to effectively raise the mean age at marriage, effective adoption of family planning methods, and thus lowering the fertility levels. Now let us discuss about the occupational composition of the population. Occupation is defined in the census reports as the economical characteristics as the activity activity of a person. For example, we can classify the people like clerks, laborers, um, and so on. We are going to identify the occupation, and we are also going to differentiate the population based on their occupation, the present occupation, the previous occupation, and so on. So for this, we are going to divide the occupation into three broad types, my dear friends, like primary occupation, secondary occupation, and tertiary occupation. The primary occupation includes those occupations like agriculture and all agriculture allied sectors like animal husbandry, forestry, fishing, and so on. These are termed as primary occupations because these have become the vital for the human existence. Coming to the second one, we have secondary occupations. And the occupations include in this sector or industries like mining, manufacturing, which includes both small as well as large scale industries. Then coming to the tertiary one, all the service sector, all the service sector like transportation, telecommunication services, banking services, finance, and other services are included under this tertiary occupation. So we have classified the occupations broadly into three types: primary occupation, secondary occupation, as well as tertiary occupation. So So the occupation structure of a country refers on to the distribution or division of the population according to different occupations, my dear friends. The changes in occupational composition are closely related with industrialization, technology, accepting the technology, which can bring the change in the society, my dear friends. It has been observed that as a country achieves more economical progress, there is also a shift towards population working in the primary sector to that of the secondary as well as tertiary sector. If you see, in all the urban centers or industrial societies, most of the people are shifting from the primary occupation towards the secondary and tertiary occupation. If we see in the rural areas, even now people are depending on agriculture, my dear friends. If we see in America, less than 10% of the population depend on primary sector, and where they produce more than required food supplements in America. And there the people are using a lot of technology in terms of tilling the soil, in terms of harvesting everything. A lot of mechanization has done taken place in terms of primary sector in America. Remember, less than 10% of the people are producing food, which requires more than required for United States of America. So as the technology is increasing, people are shifting from the primary towards the secondary as well as the tertiary sector. Now let us see the work participation rate. The work participation rate refers to the proportion of total workers, both main as well as marginal workers in the population. The census of 1981 has defined the main workers as those who have worked in some economical activity over a period of 6 months or more, and marginal workers as those who have not worked for a major part of a year. So there are some people who work for longer period of more than 6 or more months. There are some people who did not work. So we have classified them as main workers as well as marginal worker. A worker is defined as a person whose main activity is participation in any economical productive work by his mental or physical activity. This applies that a man or a woman who is engaged primarily in household activities such as cooking for own household, or a boy or a girl who is primarily a student attending an institution is not treated as a worker for the main activity. The number of workers in India, according to 1991 census, is 314.90 million, which constitute 37.64% of the total population. In this, we have excluded the population of Jammu and Kashmir, my dear friends. Whereas coming to the out of 37.64% of the population, 34.12% of the population are the main workers, and 3.52% of the population are marginal workers. Out of the main workers, remember, 38.75% of them are cultivators, 26.15% of them are agro laborers, and 3.63% of them are working the household industry, whereas 31.97% of the are other workers. Among the marginal workers, 85% are female, and the incidence of marginal workers is higher in the rural areas than the urban areas. We said that the marginal workers, among them, 85% of them are females. That means, for example, if a girl is pregnant, she may not be in a position to work. That means she must have been different from the economical activity for a larger portion of time in a financial year. That's the reason the percentage has been very very higher. Or else these people may be working in the seasonal industries, like they go to the collect the leaves in the forest, or else they must be rolling the BDs, or they must be working in some industries, maybe seasonal works. That means they may not get employment across the year, my dear friends, not even for 6 months too. That's the reason why their percentage is higher in terms of marginal workers. If you see in the year 2011, my dear friends, in terms of work participation, the total percentage is 39.8 across the country, with 53.3% are male and 25.5% of them are female. And if you see in the rural areas, 41.8% of the people are in the workforce in India, in the rural India. Among them, 53% of them are male, followed by 30 are female. And if you see in the urban centers, the work participation is 35.3. Among male, it is 53.8, and among female, it is 15.4% only. And if you see the workforce participation rate in India based on states, if you see in Andhra Pradesh, we have 36.16% of the population, female population, working in Andhra Pradesh, whereas we find 56.9% of the male population as a workforce in the workforce. So in Andhra Pradesh, we have a total of 46.6% of the workforce participation. And if we see, I put them in 5 minutes. If we see, Sikkim has the highest workforce rate with 50.47%, followed by Nagaland with 49.24%, followed by Manipur with 45.09%, and so on, my dear friends. Whereas coming to AP, it is 46.61% of the workforce participation. Then let us go for rural and urban population, my dear friends. According to the Bureau of Census, United States of America, in the year 1910, they have defined urban population for the first time. According to this definition, the urban population is what is found living in incorporated places of 2,500 or more at a time of a decennial census. The rural population represented the residue consisting of those who remain after the urban population has been identified. Before 1961, urban was not uniformly followed in all the states of India. A more precise national definition of urban was introduced for the first time by the Census Commissioner in the year 1961. According to the definition of urban places, we have we have two things which has to satisfy the criteria. The first one is all places with a municipal area, corporation, cantonment, or notified areas. These places are treated as urban areas. Or else we have one more criteria to define urban centers. There must be a minimum population of 5,000 people residing in a geographical area, and three-fourths of the working population must be working outside agriculture sector, nothing but primary sector, and there must be a density of not less than 1,000 persons per every square mile. If you are going to fulfill these three conditions, then we identify those localities as urban centers. What are they, beta? First one is there must be a population of 5,000 people. Out of 5,000 people, three-fourth. That means nearly more than 3,500 people must be working other than agriculture sector, and there must be a density of population not less than 1,000 persons per every square mile. So according to this, we are going to identify the urban areas. But as per 1991 census, the definition, a new definition has been adopted, that is, all places with municipality, corporation, cantonment, board or notified area committee, and so on will be treated as urban areas, and all other places which satisfy the conditions like a minimum population of 5,000, at least 75% of the male working population engaged in non-agriculture. Because if you see the earlier definition, they said that three-fourths of the population must be working outside agriculture. But here in this definition, they said that at least 75% of the male working population must be engaged in non-agriculture pursuit, and there must be a density of population of at least 400 persons per every square kilometer. So actually, before that, we said 1,000 people per every square mile. It has been decreased to 400 persons per every square kilometer. If any area is going to fulfill this criteria, then we are going to identify them under urban centers. Now, let us see the percentage of urban population in selected states in India. If we see the total population, urban population across the country in the year 1951, as per census report 1951, 17.29% of the population reside in urban area, which has been increased to 31.16% by the year 2011 census. If you see in Andhra Pradesh, it was 17.42 as per 1951 census. By the year 2001, or according to 2001 census, it is 27.8, further increased to 33.49% of population residing in urban centers by the year 2011. And if you see in Maharashtra, it was 28.75% in the year 1951, which has been increased to 45.23% of the total population residing in the urban centers as per Census Report 2011. Tamil Nadu has almost 50% of the total population residing in the urban areas as per 2011 census. It is 48.45%, my dear friends. Now, let us see the birth rate as well as the death rate and infant mortality rate. If we see in the year 1971, the total birth rate was 36.9%, which has been increased to 21.4% in the year 2000, which has been decreased to 21.4% in the year 2013. Out of the total birth rate, in the rural areas, it is 22.9%, whereas in the urban areas, it is only 17.3%. If we see the death rate, in the year 1971, it was 14.9%, which has been decreased to 7%. That means the death rate is slowly decreasing, my dear friends. That means the lifespan of the individuals is increasing. If we see in the rural India, the death rate was 16.4%, which has been decreased to 7.5%, whereas in the urban centers, it was 9.7% death rate, which has been decreased to 5.6% only. And if we see the infant mortality rate, it was 129%, 129 in the year 1971. If we see during the same year in the rural areas, it was higher with 138 out of every 1,000. like it was 138 infant mortality rate. Whereas in the urban areas, for every 1,000 people, infants, it was the mortality rate was 82. Coming to 2013, the infant mortality rate has been decreased to 40 across the country, and in the rural areas it has been decreased to 44, and in the urban areas the infant mortality rate has been further decreased to 27 only, my dear friends. And these statistics, whatever we have discussed, all this is has been excluding the information about Jammu and Kashmir, my dear friends. So by this, we have studied about the size of population according to caste, according to religion, according to language, according to literacy levels, based on urban rural differences. And my dear friends, this is one of the important lesson. So I request you to go and read it thoroughly. And if you have any problem, you can also contact me. So we'll stop here, guys, and we'll continue in the next class. If you have any doubts, you are free to. I hope there are no doubts. So we'll conclude the session.